U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened severe consequences against Russia if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war in Ukraine. The warning came after a virtual conference between Trump, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and European leaders. Zelensky advised Trump that Putin is bluffing on pursuing peace and wants to occupy Ukraine. Trump said he would press Putin for a ceasefire during their meeting in Alaska. U.S. President Donald Trump announced plans to seek a long-term extension of federal control over the Washington, D.C. police force, citing efforts to combat crime in the nation's capital. The current emergency authorization expires in 30 days, after which Congress would need to weigh in. Trump has deployed National Guard troops and federal law enforcement officers to patrol the city, resulting in over 100 arrests since August 7th. The president pledged to make Washington crime-free and has indicated plans to ask Congress for additional funds to support crime-fighting efforts. The Federal Reserve is likely to cut interest rates next month, according to economists who spoke to ABC News. The decision comes after a weak jobs report and lower-than-expected inflation reading. President Trump has repeatedly called for lower rates, but experts say the Fed's decision will be based on economic data rather than politics. A quarter-point rate cut is predicted by futures markets, with investors pegging the chances at nearly 96%. The Fed's dual mandate to keep inflation under control and maximize employment will guide their decision. Actress Minnie Driver, 55, shared a series of photos from her solo vacation to Rome, showcasing her stunning beach body in a black bikini. The Good Will Hunting star posted the photos on Instagram Sunday, captioning them with a mix of humor and gratitude for the attention. Many fans flooded the comments section with compliments for the actress, praising her dedication to fitness and work ethic. Driver has been open about her cast relationship struggles and has been in a relationship with writer Addison O'Dea since 2019. Country music legend Dolly Parton has offered words of comfort to Kelly Clarkson and Reba McEntire as they grieve the loss of Brandon Blackstock. Parton, who counts Clarkson and McEntire as friends, advised them to focus on the good memories they shared with Blackstock and to honor his memory by letting his energy live on through them. Blackstock died at 48 after a private battle with melanoma. He leaves behind 4 children, and his family is mourning his passing. The chances of a person facing a violent crime in Washington, D.C. have dropped in recent years, but the possibility of dying during such a crime has skyrocketed, data shows. A Northern Virginia school district has voted to keep its transgender bathroom policy, in defiance of a U.S. Department of Education directive to rescind the policy or risk punishment. The Loudoun County School Board voted 6-3 to maintain its gender identity policy, which allows students to use the locker rooms and restrooms that correspond with their gender identity. The district was one of 5 Northern Virginia school districts urged in July to drop its transgender bathroom policy after an investigation by the Education Department's Office of Civil Rights found the schools to be in violation of Title IX. The Republican National Committee, RNC, has dismissed the Democratic National Committee's, DNC, attack on Vice President J.D. Vance's fishing trip with British Foreign Secretary David Lammy in the UK. The DNC accused Vance of living it up on his summer holiday while working families face high inflation and healthcare cuts. However, the RNC countered that the Democrats are pouring money down the drain with their latest attack. Vance met with Lammy at Chevening House to discuss the Israel-Hamas conflict and Russia's war in Ukraine. The vice president also addressed U.S. troops stationed at RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire during his visit to the UK. Patrick Mahomes revealed that Taylor Swift called his wife Brittany after finishing a pre-recorded podcast with Travis Kelce on Wednesday night. The podcast, New Heights, will feature Swift discussing her new album, titled The Life of a Showgirl. Swift and Brittany have formed a friendship in recent years, despite supporting different candidates in the 2024 presidential election. The duo made headlines last season when they sat separately at the Chiefs' first game against the Ravens after Brittany faced backlash for publicly liking a post by Donald Trump on Instagram. A CNN commentator, S.E. Cupp, has criticized Democrats for their response to President Donald Trump's federalization of D.C.'s police force in order to combat crime. Cupp argued that while the numbers may show a 30-year low in crime rates, voters' perceptions and feelings about safety are what matter most. She also claimed that Democrats have a poor track record of telling the truth and should not dismiss voter concerns with charts and statistics. A federal judge in Virginia expressed skepticism on Wednesday towards the Department of Justice's arguments related to a lawsuit brought by the Trump administration against 15 district court judges in Maryland. The lawsuit challenges a standing order that automatically pauses deportation cases for 2 days when they are first filed. Judge Thomas Cullen, a Trump appointee, questioned DOJ attorneys over their position, stating he had some skepticism about their arguments. The judge will issue a decision by Labor Day on whether to block the standing order. The lawsuit represents a test of the independence of the judiciary branch and has sparked controversy over the separation of powers. Hulk Hogan, the wrestling superstar who died July 24 at age 71, starred in a mix of action films, family comedies, and reality TV hits that cemented his place as a true pop culture icon. Sylvester Stallone recalled the experience filming the Rocky Balboa classic with Hogan in the new documentary about the wrestling superstar. The Department of Homeland Security announced that 12 Laotian illegal immigrants convicted of serious crimes, including child sex crimes and drug trafficking, were deported back to Laos on August 11, 2025. The individuals had orders of removal placed on them by a federal immigration judge, with some dating back to 2003. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin stated that the deportations are part of the Trump administration's efforts to remove barbaric criminals from the country. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has offered help to Iran in addressing its severe water crisis, but only if the current regime is removed. In a video message addressed to the people of Iran, Netanyahu said that Israel's top water experts would flood into Iranian cities once the country is free from tyranny, bringing cutting-edge technology and know-how to end the water shortage. The offer comes as Iran faces an intense water crisis, with President Masoud Pezeshkian warning against excessive water usage, saying parts of the country face a serious water crisis. Netanyahu's message was seen as a clear policy signal wrapped in humanitarian aid, tying water to freedom and making the idea of resistance more immediate and personal. Get up to 70% off designer sunglasses from brands like Oakley, Zenni, and Glasses USA. Protect your eyes with polarized lenses and anti-scratch coatings. Use codes FOX or get 10% off select frames. Shop now on Amazon, Zenni, or Glasses USA. Comedian Marc Maron revealed that he declined to interview former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on his podcast in 2017, citing concerns about getting a candid conversation with her. Maron, who has interviewed high-profile politicians like Barack Obama and Donald Trump, said the success rate of getting a candid place with politicians is very small. He also expressed dissatisfaction with the current state of podcasting, stating that it has become oversaturated and cluttered. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner warned President Donald Trump to stay out of the city's law enforcement, calling him a convicted criminal who opposes public safety. Krasner, backed by left-wing billionaire George Soros, dismissed claims about rampant crime in Philadelphia, citing low homicide rates and incarceration levels. Pennsylvania Republicans attempted to impeach Krasner in 2022, but were unsuccessful. The warning came as Trump's administration took control of Washington, D.C.'s law enforcement apparatus in response to a crime wave. Former MSNBC host Chris Matthews and Morning Joe co-host Mika Brzezinski argued on Wednesday that the Democrats were falling into a trap with their response to to President Trump's plan to address D.C. crime. Matthews said the Democratic Party was falling into a trap of defending what's indefensible in reacting to President Donald Trump's plan to address crime in Washington, D.C. The move, which includes activating approximately 800 National Guard troops and taking control of the Metropolitan Police Department, has been met with criticism from Democrats, who argue that it is an overreach of presidential power. However, Matthews and Brzezinski argued that this response was misguided and would ultimately harm the party's chances in the upcoming elections. They suggested that instead of defending their current policies, Democrats should focus on presenting a more effective solution to address crime in D.C. The debate highlights the challenges facing Democrats as they navigate the complex issue of crime and public safety in urban areas. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper allegedly directed officials to compromise normal procedures to rush a politicized 2017 intelligence community assessment, despite concerns from then-director of the National Security Agency, Mike Rogers, who allegedly said his team did not have enough time to review the intelligence to be absolutely confident that Russia was involved in the 2016 election. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard declassified emails Wednesday. Fox News Digital obtained the declassified records. Travis Hunter, the 22-year-old wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is making headlines not only for his on-field performance, but also for his impressive academic achievements. Hunter finished his NFL preseason debut with 2 receptions and took snaps on the defensive side of the ball. His college grade point average was a 3.9, according to reports. Two-way NFL players have been rare, with Chuck Bednarik being the last full-time athlete in 1949 to 62. Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen praised Hunter's performance, saying he made good catches on option routes and missed 1 tackle defensively. Hunter won the Heisman Trophy last December and started his career at Jackson State before transferring to Colorado. The New Orleans Saints host the Jaguars on August 18th in the second week of preseason action. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has suggested that Democratic lawmakers who fled the state to break quorum could face felony bribery charges. The governor stated that groups funding the AWOL Democrats raises a serious legal question whether it would be a bribe that could lead to a felony charge. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is investigating the matter, and a temporary restraining order has been issued against Robert Francis, Beto O'Rourke, and his group. Powered by people over alleged unlawful fundraising practices, the Democrats are opposing redistricting efforts proposed by Texas Republicans, which could give Republicans an estimated 5 additional seats in Congress. MSNBC contributor Anthony Coley expressed frustration with the rising crime rate in Washington, D.C., stating that it's a serious problem for many residents. He cited an example of having to call attendants to unlock basic products from behind plexiglass at stores like CVS due to rampant shoplifting. Coley acknowledged that President Donald Trump's response to the issue was excessive and a political stunt, but also criticized Democrats on the D.C. Council for creating a political opening that allowed Trump to take action. Idaho student murderer Bryan Kohberger is facing taunts from other inmates as he adjusts to his new life in prison, weeks after receiving 4 consecutive sentences of life without parole, plus another 10 years. The 30-year-old former Washington State University criminology PhD student pleaded guilty to the murders of 4 undergrads at the nearby University of Idaho last month. Madison Mogan, 21, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, Xana Kernodle, 20, and Ethan Chapin, 20. Kohberger is being housed on J Block inside the Idaho Maximum Security Institution outside Boise, where inmates are typically high-risk prisoners and face restrictions. He has complained to prison guards about the abuse, but experts warn that complaining will only make things worse for him. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance told U.S. troops stationed in England that the strength of the U.S. military is what makes tough negotiations, like the one between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin possible. Vance, a former Marine, addressed the troops at Royal Air Force Base Fairford, saying, "You guys make that possible." He added that the fact that adversaries are afraid of the U.S. military gives the administration leverage in conversations with world leaders. The meeting comes as Trump prepares to meet with Putin in Alaska to discuss ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. Nebraska freshman punter Archie Wilson became emotional during a press conference when discussing his move from Australia to the United States to play college football for the Huskers. Wilson, 19, played Australian rules football before joining Nebraska this summer and is set to make his debut against Cincinnati on August 28. Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk has sounded the alarm on New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani's candidacy, warning that his inner circle is radical and pushing the Democratic Party further left. According to a recent Siena College poll, Mamdani holds a 19-point lead over former Governor Andrew Cuomo, 44% and 25% respectively, followed by Republican Curtis Sliwa, 12%, and incumbent Mayor Eric Adams, 7%. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump have also weighed in on Mamdani's anti-Trump tour through the boroughs, warning that his economic proposals would drive wealth and jobs out of the city. The family of Martha Nolan, a 33-year-old Irish fashion entrepreneur found dead on a yacht in Montauk, New York, has met with Suffolk County homicide detectives. The investigation remains active, with witness interviews and technological analyses still underway. Toxicology results are pending, but the cause of death remains inconclusive. Nolan was reportedly alone on the boat with its owner, who was an investor in her business. Despite being in a long-term relationship with another man, she had texted her boyfriend that she would Uber home after a business outing, and locals described her as friendly and well-liked. The investigation has sparked intrigue, with many questions remaining unanswered about Nolan's death.